Hey guys, so strange camera angle, I'm sorry, and there's only one camera and the sound's probably dodgy because I had no plan at all to make this video. It just sort of presented itself to be dealt with. So it's going to go on our how to do stuff in Japan playlist, and it's another one of those heads up videos. So we've got a number of our viewers who live in Japan, a number of them are newcomers as well. Been exchanging a few messages. One of them is one of our patrons. So these sort of heads up videos are for folks like that, people who are going to come to Japan, or even people coming to Japan for a visit, or even those just not coming to Japan but interested in Japanese culture, because it's a classic piece of Japanese culture, and that is the inertia to not do anything new and to not stop doing anything that they haven't already been doing for a long time already, right? So what triggered this video is a number of our family members wanted to do something, and another one of the family members hasn't done it before, and so because she hasn't done it before, she doesn't want to do it, right? And just incredibly frustrating, right? It doesn't matter what it is, it's not really important. I'll give you a whole heap of examples of other stuff that's similar, but it's really common in Japan. If you try to suggest to somebody in Japan that they do something that they haven't done before, it can be really difficult. Depends on what it is. If it's just going to a park to do something fun, then it might not be so difficult, but any sort of lifestyle thing or spending money thing or anything like that. So a few examples would be, a classic example comes to mind straight away, and I've mentioned it to you guys before, is our English friendly directory. If I contact a business owner who's not Japanese, and there are quite a lot of those in Japan, so you get someone who operates a bar or a restaurant or a hotel or a tour company or something like that, and they're a foreigner who operates it living in Japan. If I send them an email and say, hey, we've got this English friendly directory, and people use it as a tool to find English friendly businesses, are you interested? They'll sometimes write back and say, oh, I never heard about that before, that's an interesting idea, we could give that a try for a year, and usually, by the way, if they do it for a year, usually they continue to do it, but that's usually the response we get from non-Japanese business owners, right? They'll say, oh, haven't done that before, that sounds interesting, could give that a try, right? Send exactly the same email, in English or Japanese, doesn't matter, to a business owner, a Japanese business owner, and they will either not respond at all, which is typical of a Japanese company. If they don't know how to deal with something, they just won't respond, which is amazing, isn't it? They've got such a reputation for good service and professionalism and so on, but if there's something that they don't know how to deal with, they just might not answer at all. That's the most common. The next thing we get is, we'll get an email from them and it'll say, we haven't done that before, so they don't do it. So you can see the difference. The non-Japanese business owner says, haven't done that before, that might be worth a try, let's give that a try. The Japanese business owner says, haven't done that before, and that's it. So we haven't done it before, so we're not going to be doing it, right? That's really common. And then the reverse is also true too. Something that people do, that everybody does, that they should stop doing. So we show you that all the time with the crazy driver thing. People letting their kids stand between the two front seats. We actually saw a woman doing that the other day. She had the kids standing between the two front seats and she was vaping, which means her vape was going right in his face, which is sort of beside the point, but that's a classic example too, because the kids standing between the two front seats is really common. They think it's okay to do it, so they do it. The fact that it's illegal or dangerous or anything, they don't even think about that, because everybody does it, and we've talked about that hundreds of times on previous videos. People will say, why do they do that? And we'll say, because everybody does it. And that's it. There's no other reason. Everybody does it, so everybody does it. Driving around talking on your phone is normal here. Everybody does it, so everybody does it. And then you get really frustrating things, and this is what sort of triggered this video. You could get something that everybody does that's really stupid, and you try and convince your Japanese friend or family member that, you know, we really shouldn't do that, that's not real smart. It's either dangerous, or it's not productive, or it's not healthy, or it's whatever it is that you're trying to convince your Japanese friend or family member you shouldn't do. If they see that everybody does it, if they perceive that everybody does it, then they'll think that it's the thing to do. And that's why stupid things happen. I've never said this on a previous video, but I want to say it on this one. That's how World War II happened, right? It's a classic. You know, people often say Japanese people are so nice and so gentle, and, you know, how could they have done the World War II thing? Well, when you live here and you see how they all do some stupid thing, you know, when the leaders said, right, we're going to go attack the USA, you'd think that the Japanese people go, whoa, wait a moment, maybe that's not a good idea. That's not what they do. The leaders say, we are attacking the USA, so everybody attacks the USA. And no doubt there were some people that thought it wasn't a good idea, but obviously the majority went along with the plan, and that's how World War II happened. That's also how clever companies like Kentucky Fried Chicken convince Japanese people, because this is what you can do. If you want Japanese people to do something new, convince them that everybody does it. And that's what KFC did. KFC advertised heavily that eating KFC chicken at Christmas is the thing that everybody does, and they convince Japanese people that that's what everybody does, and every year they convince Japanese people that's what everybody does. And we've showed you the lines, you know, starting a couple of days before Christmas, the lines of people waiting to buy KFC, and they don't. Christmas isn't Christmas in Japan, it's Kurisumasu, and they got no idea. But, you know, the few days before Christmas, or a week before Christmas, or, you know, a couple of weeks before Christmas, everyone's eating fried chicken. So they'll either eat KFC fried chicken, or all the convenience stores have got on the bandwagon as well, and they sell fried chicken as well. And pretty well everybody starts selling fried chicken this time of year, because the people have been convinced that everybody eats fried chicken at Christmas time, right? So they do. They don't understand why or anything else. They don't think about it. They don't think about it. They're convinced everybody does it, so everybody does it. It's what the Meiji chocolate company did when they introduced Valentine's Day to Japan, and then in a clever twist, two clever twists. One is they convinced Japanese people that everybody, all the ladies, give all the men that they know chocolate on Valentine's Day, right? And they convinced them that everybody does that. And then they convinced them that on White Day, which is the 14th of March, which is a totally made up thing by the Meiji Chocolate Company, on White Day, on the 14th of March, all the men give all the ladies they know chocolate, right? And convince them they're obliged to, which is why the Japanese call it giri choco. Giri chocolate means an obligation chocolate, right? And this was all a construct of the Meiji Chocolate Company, and it worked. And every day, every year, when, you know, starting in January, as soon as Christmas is over, basically, you know, the end of December, they'll start promoting Valentine's Day and sell loads of chocolate, because all the women buy chocolate for all the men they know, and, you know, their brothers and their fathers and everybody. They don't push the romance angle. They just push the giving the chocolate angle. So it's got no meaning. It's got no meaning. It's just what everybody does, so everybody does it. And because everybody does it, everyone feels obliged to do it, right? So they all do it. And the Meiji Chocolate Company makes billions of dollars, right? It's a brilliant idea. So it's just, this is what it's like. So you've got the stuff that everybody does, and if everybody does it, everybody's going to do it. And if you're in a Japanese family or something, and it's some stupid thing that you think's really ridiculous, too bad, because it's the everybody does it, so everybody does it. And if you're the one who doesn't think it's a good idea, you know, like World War II, anybody who would have stood up and said, I don't think we should do this, who knows what happened to them. And it hasn't changed. The society pretty much works the same way. And then the opposite, what triggered this video is the opposite, when you're trying to convince somebody that doing something is a good idea, but they've never done it before, and usually if they don't know other people who've done it, that's the other thing. If everybody around them is doing it, it's much easier to convince them to do it too. But if they've never done it before and nobody around them has done it either, then it's really hard to convince them to do it. Lucky I saw that guy's little triangle on the road, isn't it? So yeah, so it's the reason I'm making the video is it's really frustrating, and it doesn't get less frustrating just because intellectually or logically you understand that this is Japanese culture. That doesn't make it any easier to deal with when it presents itself. Sometimes, depends on what it is. I mean, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the day-to-day stuff, you can just go along with it. Okay, everybody's, like the Valentine's chocolate thing. We go along with that. All the girls in our family buy chocolate for all the boys they know, and I pay for all that. and then 1 month later, because I get a lot of chocolate from all the ladies I know and all the girls I know, and then 1 month later I've got to buy chocolate for all of them, and I go along with it because you sort of got to. It's why they call it obligation chocolate, right? But it's not a big deal. You just go along with it, and it's the same as all the weird stuff they do at Christmas, and because they got no idea about Christmas, but you sort of go along with whatever they're doing. And 99% of the weird stuff that they do that you might think is not a good idea, you go along with it just because that's the way to do it. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So if you're living in Japan, you've got to go along with what's going on. Some of it's even good, so a lot of it's really good, but occasionally you get something that is really, really frustrating. The situation today where some family members want to do something, and one of the family members is saying they don't want to do it because they've never done it before, and it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating then, because trying to get a Japanese person to do something that they don't want to do, or they haven't done before, and there's no logic. That's the most frustrating thing about it, is if you try to have a logical discussion about it, it goes nowhere, because if they say, it's like those businesses that I send the emails to. Usually I don't even bother anymore sending emails to Japanese-owned businesses, because if they do come back and say I've never done that before, if they don't want to do it, you're never going to convince them to give it a try. Because when they say we've never done that before, that's the end of the discussion. There's no more discussion after that. That's it. Oh no, we've never done that before. They'll say it to your face sometimes. You go into a company, and like a printing company, and ask for something, or something like that, and ask them to do something that they haven't done before. Or a post office, go to a post office and want to send something to a country that they haven't sent it to before, or and they, we haven't done that before, and it's like, oh no, it's the words of doom when you hear that, when they tell you they haven't done something before. It's like, oh no. Right, that's probably going to be the end of it. It's probably not going to happen, and it is really frustrating sometimes if you're trying to get something done, if you're trying to achieve something, and you get this inertia where you just can't get them to do it because they haven't done it before, or when they're doing stupid stuff or dangerous stuff. I'm sort of lucky. My wife sort of understands about the kids standing up in the car, and we've got a rule: the kids have to wear a seatbelt. But we have family and friends who turn up at our house with the kids standing up on the back seat, and don't even bother to talk to them about it because it's what they do. And we're outnumbered, see, and particularly being a foreigner, it does add another problem, another obstacle, is that if they know 100 Japanese people that do that, and then one foreigner says to them, you really shouldn't do that, it's really dangerous, if that airbag goes off, that could take that kid's head off, they won't listen to the one foreigner. If 100 Japanese people are all doing something, then that's what the other Japanese people will do. They don't want to listen to that one foreigner. They would politely respond to you if you said something. They go, oh, is that right? Oh, so desu ka? Oh, so desu ka? Ah, abenai desu ne. It's dangerous, isn't it? And then they drive away and continue to do it. And this is just what it's like. So the reason for this video is just like, it's a heads up video, because if you've heard about these sorts of things, when you experience them, if you've heard about them, it does make it a little bit easier to deal with. So the first time you come across this, particularly if it's your spouse, because quite often some of the messages that we get from some of the people that watch our videos is someone who has a Japanese spouse, or Japanese spouse and Japanese in-laws, and something frustrating will happen, and you get these emails, and it's like they think it's the first time it's ever happened, and it's something unique. And when I tell them, hey, look, that happens all the time. That's what they do. It actually makes them feel a little bit better. And so that's it. That's the reason for this video, is that if you've heard about this and then you experience it yourself, it's like, oh yeah, I heard about this inertia thing, and really, I actually didn't pursue it today. There was this situation, I was there, one family member, a bunch of family members said they wanted to do something, and this one senior family member said, oh, I haven't done that before. And that was pretty much the end of the discussion. It didn't go any further than that, because nobody's going to try and convince that person, really, and I wasn't either. And so quite often, you've just got to, when they say they haven't done it before, or that's the other one they say, nobody's doing that. And if they say that, that's a killer, that one. So, hey, listen, how about we do this? During COVID, when COVID was at its peak, about 2020 or 2021, actually it might have been the 2020-2021 winter. And what happened was nobody was moving. There was no foreigners coming into Japan, and basically meant that all the tourist places were empty, right? And I said to my wife, this is a really good opportunity. We can go up to Hakuba and stay at Hakuba, and there'll be almost nobody there. We can go up in the ski fields, there'll be almost nobody there. And it's really rare, because Hakuba's really popular. And I said to her, next year, this will be over, and there'll be lots of people. But it was really hard for her, because nobody else was doing it. And at the time, there was nothing to stop us traveling from Aichi to Nagano. It was okay to do that. There was no rule saying we couldn't do it, but nobody was doing it, right? Everybody was hiding at home, and we were allowed to go. There was nothing to stop us doing it, but nobody was doing it. And that was a real uphill battle. Some of you guys will know, I did actually manage to get her to do it. And we made videos from Hakuba, and it was amazing. And the snow monkeys and everything. So it was an amazing thing. But it took 3 or 4 days to convince her, because when I first said it to her, she said, oh, nobody's doing that, right? Oh yeah, here we go. So I made a few good points and then let it go, and then a couple of days later I raised it again, and she raised a couple of reasons why we couldn't do it. And this is what they do. They're not good at looking for solutions to obstacles. So their automatic response, when you suggest something, and that was a good example actually, the going to Hakuba thing, she just brought up one reason after another why we couldn't do it. And I just it took like 3 or 4 days. So I just talked to her a little bit about it, and I'd make some good points. And to her credit, she does tend to think about things after. If I make some good points, she will think about it. But it really goes against her natural nature, because the natural Japanese nature is just to do what everybody else is doing, or not do what everyone else is not doing, right? And so nobody else, well, few other people were traveling at the time, and which is why I wanted to go, because I knew that. I knew there wouldn't be many people there, so her natural reaction is, people aren't doing that, so we shouldn't do it either. So I pointed out to her that the rule's been lifted, we can go. We don't have to stay, we can go, we're allowed to go. But it took 3 or 4 days, and I was lucky, and it hasn't always worked like that. Occasionally we'll get one where I know I can't convince her, and you can't, their way of thinking and their way of doing things, you're not going to have, if it's a really big thing like that was for her, that was a big thing for her, that one, sitting and having a 30-minute conversation and resolving it on the spot is not necessarily going to happen, and all this can be really, really frustrating. It doesn't matter how long you've lived here, or how much you understand that this is the Japanese way, or how this is what the Japanese people are like. It doesn't matter how well you understand all that. When it comes to something like that was a good example, because I really wanted to do that. I saw that as being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go be in one of the most popular ski resorts in the world with no tourists. You know, it was a really unique situation, and I knew it was only going to be that year. I knew the next year it would be busy again, and it was. So it was this one-off opportunity that we had. We got to go to the snow monkeys, where there were more monkeys than people. Usually there's busloads of people, and we went and saw the snow monkeys, and there was almost nobody there. You know, it was amazing. Once in a lifetime opportunity it was. So I really, really, really wanted to do it, but there was a good chance that we never got to do that she just refused to do it. So I was lucky she agreed to do it, but it took 3 or 4 days to convince her. So this is the stuff, this is why I'm making the video, this is the stuff, anybody that's new to the culture, you've got to keep this in mind, because it's not like other cultures where you can sit down and hammer something out for 30 minutes and come to a yes or no decision. You know, because yes or no is not part of Japanese communication. So it's not how they think, it's not how they make decisions, you know, and going against the flow, going against what everybody else is doing is really, really difficult. So, it doesn't get easier. If it's something that's important to you. If it's something that's not important to you, you go, all right, okay. Something that you sort of half-hearted want to do, and they say they don't want to do it, yeah, all right. Or something that you don't really want to do, but but everybody's doing it, so you go along with it. You know, some of the big events like festivals and things are a bit like that sometimes. You know there's going to be so many people there, and you don't particularly want to go, but it's sort of what they're doing, so you go and do it too. And usually that sort of stuff, you can be fairly flexible about, but it's that close to the heart stuff, that close to the bone stuff that you feel strongly about, that can be really, really difficult, you know. And pushing is never the solution. So whether it's those company owners, the business owners that I'm talking to about the English Friendly Directory, or whether it's my family members or my neighbours or anybody, people in my flying club or Aikido group, or pushing is never the solution here. All you can do is sort of plant some seeds and see what happens, but the pressures, the weight is against you. If the group is all doing something, that's going to be the direction that they're going to be leaning, and if the group is not doing something, they'll be leaning in that direction, because that's what it's all about. And if they haven't done it before, not likely they're going to want to do it. And if they always do it, it's not likely they're going to stop doing it. So there's all that. So sorry about the camera angle and everything, but it just had to be made, this video. Now and again, a topic like this introduces itself, raises its head, and needs to be dealt with. Some of you guys who've been watching our videos for a while would have heard most of these things before in different formats, because these topics come up regularly in Japan. All this stuff comes up, so it's an ongoing thing. Probably not the last time we'll talk about it either. Anyway, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.